When people ask why Charlotte keeps coming up in conversations around relocation, it's easy to point to the headlines: growth, rankings, job numbers. But what actually makes Charlotte work isn't just what shows up in a report. It's how all of these things come together in a way that people experience day to day. And that's usually the part people don't fully understand until they're here. The Charlotte metro area is just now over 3.2 million people. The city itself is the 14th largest in the country, and it continues to rank among the fastest growing large metros in the US. On average, the region is adding roughly 100 to 150 people per day, but what matters more than the numbers is the pattern behind it, because people aren't randomly ending up here, they're choosing it. At a high level, Charlotte has quietly become one of the most important financial centers in the country. It sits right behind New York City as the second largest banking hub in the US, with Bank of America and Truist Financial headquartered here, along with expansion from global institutions from SMBC Group. That creates a level of economic stability that a lot of cities don't have. To put that into perspective, the Charlotte region produces over $250 billion in goods and services annually. That's the total economic output of the region in a year, putting it in line with smaller US states. So this isn't a small emerging economy anymore. It's established and still growing. But what's changed, and that is important, is that Charlotte is no longer just banking. You're now seeing real expansion in tech, fintech, logistics, and operations. Companies like Lowe's and Ally Financial have built out major hubs here, and that's pulled in talent from markets that didn't historically look at Charlotte. That's shifted the type of migration coming in. You're still seeing movement from finance-driven markets like New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., but now you're also seeing people come from California, Texas, and other tech-heavy regions. And what they're looking for isn't a downgrade. They're looking for a different balance. Internationally, Charlotte has a much stronger presence than people expect. You see consistent influence from Germany in manufacturing and engineering, the United Kingdom in the financial services, Canada in infrastructure and energy, and Japan through banking and industrial investment, and India through technology and IT services. These aren't surface-level connections. They're directly tied to how the city functions and why companies continue to invest here long-term. Then there's infrastructure, which quietly drives a lot of this growth. Charlotte Douglas International Airport is consistently ranked among the busiest airports in the world by aircraft movements and one of the busiest in the US for passenger traffic. That level of volume reflects just how much business is moving through Charlotte. It's not just travel, it's connectivity, and that's a major reason companies expand here and why people feel comfortable relocating here long term. And beyond the growth and the data, this is the part of Charlotte that people connect with the most. It's not just one version of the city, it's a collection of completely different lifestyles, all within reach of each other. You have areas like South Park and Myers Park that feel established, mature, and rooted, tree-lined streets, classic architecture, everything feels intentional and lived in. Then you move into places like Noda and Plaza Midwood, where it's more creative, more local, and a little more energy. Restaurants, art, live music, something always happening. Head a little further out and you get into Ballantyne, Weddington, and Waxhaw, where it opens up. There's more space, newer homes, a quieter pace, but still connected to everything you need. And then just across the state line into South Carolina, places like Fort Mill and Indian Land, where a lot of people are drawn for a combination of proximity, value, and lifestyle while still being tied into the Charlotte market. And then there's the outdoor side of Charlotte, which a lot of people don't expect. Lake Norman is just north of the city, and it is the largest man-made lake in the state. Lake Wiley sits along the South Carolina border, offering a completely different pace and feel. You've got the U.S. National Whitewater Center, miles of greenways, parks, trails, places, mountains where people actually spend their time outside year-round. And that's what makes Charlotte different. You're not choosing just one lifestyle when you move here. You're choosing access to multiple versions of how you want to live. You're choosing the lifestyle that fits and the flexibility to move between them. Another piece that doesn't get talked about enough is the talent pipeline. North Carolina is home to some of the strongest university systems in the country. Between Duke University, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, North Carolina State University, and others across the state, you have a nationally ranked program in business, engineering, healthcare, and research. Some of these programs are among the best in the country and in certain cases globally. So companies aren't just moving here for cost or location. They're moving here because there's a consistent pipeline of talent that supports long-term growth. And then there's a completely different layer that people feel more than they measure. Charlotte has built a strong identity around sports and shared experiences. Between the Carolina Panthers, the Charlotte Hornets, and Charlotte FC, along with the broader NASCAR presence tied to NASCAR and events like the Truist Championship, there's a consistent energy here throughout the year. And in a city where so many people are new that matters, it gives people a way to connect quickly and to feel part of something without having to build everything from scratch. But if you really strip it down to what makes Charlotte desirable, is how livable it is. Life here is easier to manage. You get where you need to go without it consuming your day. You can can access restaurants, retail, and everyday essentials without it feeling like a big effort. And you still have access to major markets when you want them. Geographically speaking, that's also a part of the appeal. You are about 2 hours from the mountains, 3 to 4 hours from the coast, roughly 4 hours to Atlanta, and about 6 hours to Washington, D.C. So you're not locked into just one environment. You can shift your lifestyle without having to relocate again. And then there are the smaller patterns that don't always show up in reports, but they matter just as much. Charlotte has a strong veteran presence. North Carolina consistently ranks among the top states for military and veteran populations, and this becomes a natural place for people transitioning into their next phase. You also see a strong lifestyle component around outdoor space, parks, trails, and even how dog-friendly the city is. Those things seem small, but they become a part of people's daily routines. And when daily life feels better, people tend to stay. So when people move to Charlotte, it's usually not just for one reason. They're leaving something behind: cost, congestion, pace, lack of space, but they're not trying to give anything up. They still want opportunity, access, and quality of life. Charlotte tends to meet them in the middle, and this is where expectations matter. Charlotte isn't the low-cost market it was 10 or 15 years ago, but it still offers more value relative to where most people are coming from. And even for people moving within the region, there's still a sense that you can get more space, more flexibility, and more control over how you live. What's interesting is why people stay, because that's really the test of a city. People stay here because life becomes easier to manage. They build community faster than they expect, and they realize they don't need to leave again to find what they're looking for. Even for people who grew up here or left and came back, the consistency is what stands out. The city has grown, but it hasn't lost its ability to feel manageable. You can still have space here. You can still shape your lifestyle in a way that becomes harder to do in larger, more saturated markets. So when you look at Charlotte as a whole, yes, the growth is real. The numbers support it, but what makes it meaningful is how that growth translates into everyday life, how it feels to live here, how it functions, and why people don't just choose to move here, but they choose to stay. Charlotte doesn't try to be Nashville or Vegas or New York City or DC. It's not built on decades of a single identity, and that's exactly what makes it different. It's a city that's still being shaped, still evolving, and still being chosen. It's something you have to experience to fully understand why people are moving here, why they're staying, and why so many are putting down roots. Welcome to the Queen City.